Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Chinezeslife and I'm here with yet another Insecure Season 4 review. For those of you who may be new to my channel or this is your first time watching this type of content on my channel, what I'll be doing is reviewing and giving a recap, kind of my thoughts, just how I feel about the current episodes of Insecure as they roll out. So if you have not watched Season 4, Episode 6 of Insecure, Low-Key Done, I suggest you do so and then come back to this video. But if you don't care, or if you've already watched, go ahead and stay tuned and let's get into this episode. So as you guys all know, Episode 5 was like crazy. To me, that kind of seemed like it was the climax of the season, being that kind of was the halfway point. And we see that was literally the moment where the friendship between Molly and Issa kind of seems, at least to me, like it has reached its peak. So, you know, they had their huge fight and now we're met at the beginning of Episode 6 to Issa just in bed, kind of reliving the moment, reliving what happened the past night before. And of course, that's definitely a relatable thing because especially after something that big, especially after a fight that big and after a moment that big, being that it was her big moment, it was the block party and then this whole fight occurs, Issa just opened the episode just like lost in thoughts, kind of just waking up the next morning really being like, wow, like did that really happen? Like let's just process this, and just kind of hearing Molly say what she said all over again. I feel like it's definitely one of those moments where you just realize, or when you just reflect on past situations and you're just kind of like, wow, like did this person really say that to me? Like Issa was really just there in that moment, like just processing everything, really thinking about how it made her feel. And then we see that she's just met with a bunch of missed calls. I know that it was meant to be like a voicemail type of situation, but then we got to see the characters as they're leaving these messages for Issa. And then I thought to myself, like, Apple needs to get it together and make like video mails a thing. Like we should seriously be able to, like, instead of leaving a voicemail, I feel like leaving a little, like if someone misses your FaceTime call, you should be able to leave a little video like, hey, just try calling you, da-da-da. I don't know. Just a thought. But anyways, also guys, just as a sidebar, I have lip gloss on, or I have lipstick on rather, and it may or may not be on my teeth throughout this video. So if for whatever reason, I'm trying to like control it, but for whatever reason, if I'm talking and y'all see something on my teeth, we just gonna act like we ain't see it. So we cool, we got that. Great. Let's keep on going. Something interesting from all the voicemails was that we saw that Kelly was babysitting Tiffany's child again. I'm thinking like, like is there a deeper meaning to this? Or like, is she just watching her? Is she just over there? Because I don't know, I don't want to play too deeply into it, but I feel like that could low-key be a storyline, just kind of building upon the last episode where we may have seen Tiffany showing some signs of like postpartum depression. I'm thinking, I'm like, is Kelly with Tiffany's baby? Maybe because like Tiffany just can't do it right now. Or, you know, is Kelly just being a good friend and going over to help out? Either way, she'd be being a good friend. So as Issa gets ready to start her day, it looks like she's talking to herself in the mirror, and herself is telling her like, oh, you should reach out to Molly, da-da-da, this and that. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, I hope she does not reach out to Molly. Like, I feel like a lot of the times we always want to kind of be the bigger person in a sense, but Issa even told herself like, girl, like you're always the one who's reaching out. Like why can't she be the one to reach out for a change? You know what I mean? She was the one who showed up to the event with that energy. She was the one who blew up on her, and she was the one who basically ruined the night. So like, yeah, Issa could be the bigger person, but me personally, if I was in Issa's position, like, nah, like you crossed the line and it's like, you should be the one to reach out if that's the case. So we also see that Nathan reached out to Issa, and I also like how she kind of asked him. I think it was just hearing Molly tell Issa that, you know, like that she's a user, how she's using all these people, whatever. So I feel like Issa probably felt like a little bit of like conviction and genuinely just asked Nathan to be like, you know, like I just hope that you don't think that I used you, da-da-da. Because sometimes like you really just kind of need clarity on those things, because when your mind is racing and you're thinking of all these things and you're internalizing what someone told you about yourself, you're kind of like, wow, like I don't see myself as that. I didn't see my actions as that. So she genuinely just wanted to know if that's also how Nathan saw the situation, and it turns out that he didn't. So again, we just see that, you know, at least she was able to kind of get clarity on that situation, and then more so just kind of thank him again for doing her that huge favor, because again, without Nathan's help, Vince Staples wouldn't have been the headliner. So I think the main point of this episode was kind of like Issa just figuring things out without Molly as like her best friend sidekick by her side, or whatever the case may be. So we do see that she was doing like random favors for strangers in this episode, which like I get definitely that, you know, this episode kind of had to be a filler episode in a sense, especially since we're coming off of that huge climax of, again, the big fight between Molly and Issa. However, I did feel like the whole grocery store scene was very dragged. And then also something on that grocery store scene, like, who is coming to the store without no money in their pocket, begging people on the line to like pay for their food? I feel like, I don't know, that's just, I didn't know that people did that. I don't know if that was like exaggerated just for the show, but I would hope that people don't be doing that. But then again, if people are doing that, it's just sad all around, because it's like, dang, like people really be out here struggling. But I don't know, like that was just so, I don't know, it just felt dragged to me, that scene. And then am I the only one who thought that that lady was mad rude, talking about, you know what, it's okay, like after Issa's card kept on declining, talking about the gift that you've given me today is perspective. I was just like, rude? Like what do you mean? Listen, like I could have just not offered, period. I was just genuinely shocked that Issa continued to do like more nice favors after that, because after that moment I would have probably been like, all right, like, because the voice in her head was literally telling her like, girl, you should do it, or no, you shouldn't do it, you shouldn't do it. And then she did it, only for her to like leave the store and basically end up picking up this old man who had just missed the bus. I personally, I don't think I would ever pick anyone off the side of the street, especially not in today's day and age, because you just literally never know who people are. So it's like, to bring in a stranger into your vehicle, like, and then drop them to whatever location, like I'm heading north, like what does that even mean? Like I guess Issa just had time to kill, but like again, like that was just something that was like too, like you just basically got your card declined at the store and now you're helping out this random old man. But it's like, you should probably just get back to whatever it is that you were doing. And then I also thought that this scene was way too long. Like I don't know, like it just seemed like, why did we need to have this man conversing with Issa? I don't really know if he dropped any gems either, because I think that was the main thing with me in this episode. Like I kind of felt like disinterested like half the time, just because the storyline just felt like so dragged, whether it was the grocery scene or the scene with the old man. So I was just like, all right, like at this point I just knew that, you know, probably nothing really like good or like interesting was gonna happen in this episode. So when I finally thought that something good was gonna happen to Issa, we see that she goes to paint and sip alone, and you know, she got her Carlo Rossi, she's ready to paint. And then she's met with these women who are from DC. They didn't know that it was a paint and sip, like you had to bring your own sip, which I have been seeing a lot lately. So that definitely was a reminder to be like, listen, like even if you're going somewhere, you got to make sure, like I would always just bring something with me, but I would make sure like how many glasses are they going to give us? Like, are they giving us a bottle? Like what's the exact details? So that's just a minor thing. But basically Issa sees that these women don't have anything. They're complaining about being like, oh dang, like I didn't know you were supposed to bring your own sip. And she offers to share her bottles with strangers. Now, of all the acts that Issa did in this episode, that low-key is something that I would also do, especially if I was at an event alone. Now, if I was with my friends, it depends, like if everyone's trying to do that, because obviously most people probably put in on the bottle. But Issa was by herself, she made that decision, and again, that's just literally just a nice gesture to do. So Issa basically ends up having a good time with these strangers, and they end up inviting her to the next spot that they're going to, which is a bar. So, you know, now they're at the bar or getting drinks or whatever the case may be. And then she goes to the bathroom with one of the girls. And basically they're chatting in the bathroom. Also before this, Issa had told them about what her job was. And they were like, oh, so basically like you're the plug. Like she was like, yeah, you know, I worked, my last event had Vince Staples, this, that. And she's basically just telling them like, you know, a little bit into her work sphere. And then they're basically just like, like they peep game. They're like, oh, so you're basically the plug. And then Issa's just like, yeah, you know. Anyways, they end up playing her because Issa goes to the bathroom with one of them, and by the time that she's still talking to the girl in the bathroom, she notices that she stopped responding, so she's like checking under, like looking around. And you know, sometimes people be lit and forgetful, so maybe the girl just went back to the table. Issa gets back to the table and everyone is gone. I said, wow. That's how they do it out in Maryland. That's how she said Maryland. So I'm like, wow, they really played her. So basically, not only did they dine and dash, but they literally left the bill just for Issa to cover. Basically, again, that just makes you replay back to that moment when they're like, oh, so basically, like, you're the plug. What else you got? So in that moment, Issa definitely felt like, wow, like, I definitely did not see that coming. But I guess that's just the type of day that I'm having. So then in the next scene, I really wish that this was actually true, but it was kind of like out of character in a sense for Issa. But we basically see that she has the painting and she like bashes it over the girl who left her in the bathroom's head. And then the friends start like cursing Issa out, being like, why did you do that? What's wrong with you? We calling the cops, da da da. But then we see that that didn't actually happen, and then Issa basically just ends up like driving by and seeing them and just kind of keeps on driving. And then we see that Issa calls someone and asks if she can come over. And now in my head, I was thinking, I'm like, wait, who's she about to call? Like, I know she's been dodging like Kelly's calls and texts. I know obviously her and Molly are not speaking. I don't think that in this vulnerable moment that she would go to Nathan. At least I would hope that she wouldn't, because it's like even when he had called to check up on her, you could see that, you know, she just kind of wanted to keep it cool, keep it calm, keep it short, not really get into too much details. So I'm thinking I literally had no idea who it would be, and I did not expect for it to be her mom at all. If anyone, I thought that it would be her brother Amal, just because of the nature of their relationship, and they seem really close. But again, it ends up being her mom, so she ends up going over to her mom's house. And I think her mom just kind of, you know, had that instinct, just knowing that, you know, there's something wrong. Because one, again, when has Issa really ever visited her mom before? But then two, it's just kind of like the way she was just being vague with her and not really getting too much into detail. Her mom just kind of could see that she was going through something and was basically like, you know what, like, just come give me a hug. She literally just held her arms out. Issa gets into her mom's arms and just starts to cry, which again was just a really nice moment, because it's like sometimes like you don't even have to say anything. People could just see and like feel your energy and know how you're feeling. And I thought that it was really good that she was able to kind of go to her mom and get advice for her, kind of a life advice, because Issa was kind of thinking like, wow, like I feel like I've done so much in a sense, but like I don't know where to go next. And it's kind of like I'm comparing myself to you in a sense, because when you were my age, like you had kids, like you had your career going, and like I'm just here and I don't know what's going on. Only for her to find out that her mom didn't really know what was going on at her age either. She literally told Issa like, I didn't want y'all, like as in referencing to Issa and her brother. And Issa was just like, wait, what? So sometimes, especially as kids, you can kind of think that your parents like have it all together, or have it all going on, or that everything is good, but you don't even know that they're like, they may have been struggling, or they may have been going through things, but they just kind of like put on a front. Which again just shows like how good it is when you're actually just vulnerable with people, especially when with your family members, when you're vulnerable with them. So I just really liked how that moment was included, because we really got to see a softer side of Issa, and we got to see this new side of this relationship that she has with her mom. Issa's mom played like a really vital role in that moment, because she was basically able to tell her like, you know, I'm very proud of you, and I see all that it is that you're doing, and you know, don't think that you're not as successful as you are, because you are. She basically just encourages her and tells her like, you know, you can figure out whatever it is that you're going through, and that she admires her. And Issa in a moment, she was just like, wait, you admire me? And I think really, again, just hearing certain things like that can literally just kind of give you a whole new perspective and whole like new sense of confidence, especially for Issa when it's coming from someone like her mom, who she's probably maybe never even heard something like that from before. So towards the end of the episode, we see that Issa finally picks up Kelly's calls, and Kelly's basically just like, hey, like, you know, like, how are you doing? Like, I've been trying to check in on you. And Issa's just kind of like, yeah, you know, I've been busy. But obviously Kelly's cut it into the chase, so she's like, you know, girl, like, have you called Molly? Like, what's going on with y'all? And Issa kind of gives the answer that I would give too, basically being like, are you keeping like this same energy with like Molly too? Like, how come I have to be the one to reach out? Like, I'm always the one to reach out. And Kelly definitely, like, she poses a question. So she's like, so if you don't want to reach out, like, what if you guys never end up speaking? Like, is that really how you want to end things? Like, maybe like, you know, talking things over could change a lot. But Issa basically just leaves it at that, being like, you know, like, I'm not calling her. And again, I stand with that decision in this specific situation, because again, like, I feel like Molly had crossed that line and she should be the one to come and, you know, speak to Issa. But I do appreciate how Kelly's also been reaching out to Molly, telling her to also call Issa. So it's not like she's being biased. And then she also kind of gave in her own perspective, referencing when her and Tiffany were going through issues, how, you know, basically if they had just not spoken for longer, like, they may have never gotten back to where they are right now. And again, like, yes, like, Issa and Molly had an argument, and no, it doesn't have to be the end of the relationship, but I feel like it's not something that you need to rush, you know? I feel like sometimes it's better to go without, to know something is really worth fighting for, versus forcing yourself to like talk to someone, or forcing yourself to like make the situation better, when sometimes it really does need time. Sometimes you may need a break from a friendship or a relationship to realize that, you know, like, this is something that I want to try to get back. But in this moment, I think that it was good that Issa didn't like necessarily succumb to the pressure from Kelly, because while Kelly definitely means like well, and I'm sure her intentions are pure, I think that it's just important, again, for Issa to process how she's feeling. And even for Molly, because we didn't get to see how Molly was feeling about this whole situation too. So I think that they both need that space from each other, and they both just need to figure things out in their own timing. Like, yes, it's good that their friends are like kind of like giving their input, giving their advice, but I don't think that it's necessarily necessary to involve other people or to let other people's thoughts and opinions of when you should call someone or who should call who kind of get in the way of that whole healing process. So in one of the last scenes of the episode, we see that Issa is basically hype. Like, now she's able to finally go get, I believe it was like Ethiopian food or something like that. So you know how Issa be, like in the car, like all cheery. She gets to the spot, and guess who's there? Like, as in, I think Issa was about to go pick it up, but whatever the case may be, Molly is right smack in the middle of the restaurant. Issa could see from her car. She basically gets out of the car, and in that moment, you can definitely tell that she's contemplating, like, wow, like, do I want to go in here? Especially this is right after she had gotten off the phone with Kelly. So it's like, do I want to go in here and kind of have this conversation? Or like, do I go in there and ignore her and make things even more awkward? Or do I just go home? And Issa chooses to just kind of go home, and that's where the episode ends basically. And again, like I just said, like, I don't think that she was ready in that moment to see Molly or to confront her or for them to even ignore each other or see each other in person. I think that Issa, although like obviously she wanted her food and whatever the case may be, I think that she made a good decision by just going home, because if she wasn't ready, like, you're not ready. Like, she may have said the wrong thing. She may have not known what to say. So it's better to just go home, sleep on it. Like, because again, this is only one day after. Like, you'll have to remember, it's not like 2 months have passed or something. So I think that it was just a good decision for her to go home. And that was basically episode 6. So if I had to give this episode a rating, honestly, guys, like, I would probably give it a 4 out of 10. My reasoning is that I was not like entertained through it. Again, like, I felt like some scenes were like way too long, and like, I don't know, I feel like even though like, yes, like it was a filler episode in a sense, I feel like there could have been like less of the grocery scene and like less of Grandpa Willie and kind of like more like, I don't know, something was just missing. Like, it just felt like some things were just thrown in there. I'm definitely looking forward to next week's episode, because we get to see like Molly goes on vacation with Andrew and his friends, and it seems like the whole episode is going to be dedicated towards her. So it makes me feel that, again, like, we're not really going to get to see this like Issa and Molly conversation or anything between the two of them for at least the next few episodes. Maybe that'll even be in the season finale. But again, overall, like, I knew that this episode wasn't going to be as juicy as the last, because that would obviously be way too much. I also hope, again, I feel like I said this the last time and we didn't get to see it in this episode, but I do hope that we get to see like more of Kelly and Tiffany's relationship, more of Tiffany and Derek's relationship, and that we get to see what happened with Lawrence and Condola. Like, can we get the tea on that? Because the fact that none of that was mentioned at all in this episode kind of leads me to believe that, you know, maybe in the future episodes, like, they're gonna just touch on it. Because I just want to know from Lawrence's side how things went down, you know? So everyone, that is all that I have for today's episode recap and review. Thank you so much for tuning in. And also, if you are not subscribed to my channel, make sure to pause this video, hit that subscribe button, and also click that bell so that you guys know what I am posting. And also, if you guys are not following me on Instagram, make sure to follow me over there at chinezeslife. And if you are not following me on Twitter, make sure to follow me over there at chinezeslife. I finally was actually live tweeting during this past week's episode. But of course, when I'm finally live tweeting, it wasn't even all that spicy. I'm like, wow, I wish that, you know, my coordination was on point for episode 5, because that was a spicy episode. And guys, like I said before in my last video, we are very close to reaching a certain goal on YouTube. So definitely, you know, share this video. Make sure to give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And again, a giveaway is on the horizon, so make sure that you are staying tuned for that. As always, I appreciate you guys' support so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, everyone.